The newly elected Johannesburg Mayor, Kabelo Gwamanda, says that not having a qualification higher than a matric certificate has nothing to do with his ability to run the metro. That's after opposition parties questioned his qualifications recently, just a week following the accusations that he was involved in a funeral Ponzi scheme. Have a listen to what the mayor said when he was pressed for comment by journalists just yesterday. Okay, so we don't have those comments. Anyway, let's move on to something we do have. We can speak to political analyst Sandile Swana, who's joining us. Mr. Swana, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So, should mayors hold a qualification higher than a matric?
The short answer is no. In the sense that in terms of our political philosophy as a country and existing laws, we want every citizen of the Republic of South Africa who is not prohibited by criminal and other relevant issues to be able to stand for elections and to stand for office and represent the community and represent themselves. So from that point of view, there is no need for any qualification, academic qualification of any kind.
But with Gwamanda, there was also speculation, questions raised about whether he even had a matric, and what was explained from his political party was that he had to drop out of school, unfortunately, because of coming from a family that experienced a severe level of lack. So he went out basically into the jobs market as a teenager to try and help improve the situation back home. He then went to a college to obtain the equivalent of a grade 12. Does that settle it, or does he need to do more to prove that?
No, I think that Gwamanda does not need to prove anything about his qualifications. Number one, I think his party and the ANC that sponsored this could have circulated his CV with openness and honesty. Secondly, I think it does need to be said that the DA, which started all these speculations and questions, could have done this openly to the public before any elections. However, we must be aware that the DA actually got less than half the votes that Gwamanda got. So Gwamanda won the election with the DA lights out at any rate, and that is democracy in the manner that it is defined at this point in time in our law.
Mm. And just on the handling of this issue, one of the other things you just said was that his own side, shall we say, in council, should have done a better job in allaying or putting to rest some of these questions. Just on Saturday, there was supposed to be a briefing where this was going to be addressed in detail. It never happened. That could be argued. It could be argued that such things play into the hands of the opposition, do they not?
No, they do. I think that you see, the problem is that because of the lowering of intellectual standards generally in our politics and in South Africa more broadly, people don't pay attention to the philosophy of our democracy, which says that the average citizen, and you'll probably find that Gwamanda probably represents very well the profile of an average Sowetan, is the one who needs to be representing, he at least must have a right to represent themselves in the highest office if possible, and also to represent the people like him in office. Now, in other countries, of course, that has been changed. The Chinese Communist Party has been very stringent on who becomes an office bearer, and other countries have done that. But here in South Africa, we want the grassroots type of people to take the highest office, if possible.
And are we doing enough as a country then to equip people who may have a lived experience and knowledge of how the majority of citizens in a province such as Gauteng are living? Is enough being done to equip them with additional knowledge, experience, so that they are able to perhaps even open themselves up to different avenues as far as seeking and finding solutions then to the many troubles of people, for example, in areas such as Soweto and Alexandra?
Yes, I think not enough is being done. For instance, if you look at even this country and look at the United States from a black perspective, a lot of us learned community work, community leadership, and other things through church projects. Others went to become worldwide music stars. The likes of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X came from, although the other one was a Muslim, the other one a Christian Bishop to Alan Busak. So a lot of people through community projects, through community church work and other things, became proper leaders, well-qualified leaders. In South Africa, you no longer even have conscription, you no longer have youth corps and other things like that. Scouts and all sorts of places where people could learn leaders are not receiving proper attention. So yes, I think Gwamanda has done well under the circumstances to be where he is today.
How does his coalition support him to ensure that he is actually the mayor who stays the course? Because at the rate we're going through them at this point, they might as well have a roster of councillors who each take a turn running the city for a few months.
I think Gwamanda, there are two levels of support that he needs, and the one he definitely has. I think Gwamanda has got overwhelming political support in terms of the votes that he got. I think on that platform, to the extent that Kenny Unene came out in full support, and I'm hoping that not long from now, Gayton Mackenzie will come in full support, so that support around Gwamanda is solid and unshakable. Then the next support is to make sure that you equip him to deal with the IDP. You support him line by line, item by item in the SDB, and so on and so forth. And you coach him. He's a young man, and I think that he's got potential that needs to be supported. And above all, the residents of Gauteng and the citizens of Gauteng and Johannesburg in particular just need to tell the politicians to stop changing mayors. It's enough now.
To what extent, I wonder, would you agree with the sense that perhaps there are too many voices, even from the coalition, speaking on the issues of who's mayor, who isn't, because whether it is to support or publicly, in fact, criticize, as happened with his predecessor, Al-Jamal's Kabelo Ahmad, because, for example, there was a big uproar on Sunday when that interview aired with Carte Blanche, where the Al-Jamal leader, Khalif Hendricks, was saying that as part of the vetting process, they spoke to Gwamanda's mother, and people took that, and it basically was interpreted as something that meant that the vetting process was perhaps not as rigorous as it should be, considering the role in which he's serving.
Actually, people who've done vetting, I once talked to one of the generals of the South African police, that when she was being vetted to join on the training side of the South African police, they went even to the people who were with her in primary school. They went everywhere where she's been to ask questions about her, to clear in order before compiling the final report of clearing. So if you've got the skills, you can go to family members, neighbors, schools where the person had gone, and universities where they attended. You know that even when you graduate, your certificate comes with a certificate of satisfactory conduct, even at a university. So I think some of these comments about Gwamanda are just unfair. People are trying to throw every type of mud they can imagine on Gwamanda. And it's unnecessary. People need to settle down and get the job of running the city of Johannesburg on the road. It's enough now. Definitely enough now.
Sandile Swana, good to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight, sir.